Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome. Welcome. How are we doing today? I'm going to let everyone get in. Please let me know if you can hear me so that I can be sure that I am coming through loud and clear. That would be lovely. Make sure you like when you come in. Be sure to like, and I am just really quickly downloading something that I'm going to show you all today. And just another update, just in case some of you may or may not know. My lives are usually at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, but because one of my teachers is out of town on vacation, I have to sub for the teacher. So I have to have these lives where I've actually had today was my last day. So I won't have to do them at 6 anymore. So today was the last day of me subbing for the teacher. So I will be able to start my lives at 5 o'clock moving forward. But just wanted to let everyone know that's why I have been having it at 6. So next week it will be at 5 o'clock. Okay. So let me hello, Texas. Hello. So, yes, you can hear me. Thank you very much, Sheila Hall and Mystica Rose. Hello, Gloria S. Hello, Deborah, Tolly, and Michelle Lambert from Maryland. Frida Smith. Oh, CC is off? Oh, no. Let me make sure. I think that might be on your end. You might be able to click the little, there should be like a little controller where you can turn them on. Let me see. Visual effects. I mean, not visual effects. Let me go to general. Okay, I don't know. I see it on there. Let me go to my other location where I see it, to my studio. Just give me a second here. And give me 1 second. I want to make sure that the CC is definitely on. Okay. So let's go to the settings. Yeah, the CC should be on. Oh, wait a minute. Subtitles, caption. Oh, it says it's unavailable. Oh, no. Why is that? I can't even click the CC. I apologize. I have no idea why it's not coming on. Yeah. It should. Subtitles, closed captions, unavailable. Oh, my goodness. Oh, so Maggie's saying she was never able to access the CC on live feed. That might be, you know what? If you watch it after it's finished, then I think you'll be able to watch it with the closed captions. Is what I'm thinking. Okay, so Mystica Rose is saying yes on lives. There's no CC. Okay, so that answers the question. That's why. So apologies. So after the live is over, I'm pretty sure you'll be able to access the CC. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So welcome everyone. Thank you so much for being here. If you are here, if you could please hit the like button, that would be greatly appreciated. I really do appreciate. Oh no, what did I do? I really would appreciate that if you would hit that like button. And thank you everyone so much for being here. For those of you who are not here every week, I do these lives every Thursday, usually at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard, but I'm subbing for a teacher who is teaching for a program through my charity. So I have to fill in as a sub, but today was my last day. They should be back next week. So I will be here at 5 p.m. next week. Okay. Now, as some of you may or may not know, also, I am going to be interviewing Taz, but Taz is on vacation. I was supposed to interview her the day Otis got his ear infection, so we had to cancel because of the time difference. Had to take Otis, so I couldn't do it. So when she comes back, then I will be able to, yes, do my live with her, which is going to be a recorded live. I'll be here while watching it, the interview with her. We're going to be talking about some things around our time going to Lady C's ball, and of course some royal things, and just kind of getting some insight. I've never interviewed her. I've interviewed Lady C a couple of times. So if you have never seen my interviews with Lady C, they are on one of the earlier videos on my channel. I was one of the first YouTubers to interview Lady C. And as I mentioned last time, she showed such great humility. I had a very small channel at the time, but she came on my channel. It was right after her book came out, the story of Harry and Meghan. And she came on my channel and I interviewed her. So, and I think shortly thereafter, she got her channel, I believe. Right after her book came out, I believe it was. But yes, you can see my interviews with her. And I've interviewed, of course, Thomas Markle Sr. Some of you may or may not know that. So you can see it's a 3-part interview with Thomas Markle. And there was some very revealing information that I had not even heard of that didn't come out until Tom Bower's book came out, that was revealed during my interview, which had to do it with Meghan and some things around her reproduction. So there was things I hadn't known at the time. I was like, whoa, really blown away by that. So if you want, you can go back to some of my earlier videos and you can see my conversations with Thomas Markle Sr. and Lady C, as well as Rose Holtz, the beautiful Black American woman who married into aristocracy. She has come a long way from, just being a regular American citizen to living in a very abundant life in the UK. And she is also the founder of the app Screen Hits TV. And it's a really great concept. It's this app where you can upload all of your subscriptions, like with Paramount, Peacock, Netflix, HBO, CBS, NBC. I'm sure a lot of UK channel apps as well. You can load them all into this one app, and you can access all of your streaming services through this one app that she invented. And I interviewed her because she had written an article, I think it was around the time of the Oprah interview, and she talked about how Meghan just did not do things right. She really kind of hit on it in a way that I had always been speaking about Meghan, and how she just went about it the wrong way. And how she spoke about it was so enlightening to educational point of view, because a lot of people like to call it hate, and they want to say that we're speaking badly about Meghan, but the reality is no one's speaking badly about Meghan. We were just simply trying to show she should have went about it in a better way, because she went about it the wrong way. I mean, clearly. So when she wrote that, when that article came out and I saw it, I was really, really just impressed with how, she laid it out there as a woman who is in somewhat of a similar position as Meghan, and just how, let me just go back. When you are a woman of color and you experience certain things around racism, you know how to deal with these things because these things come up in your life, right? And Meghan complaining about these issues around race seemed very contrived. It didn't seem like she really knew what she was talking about because she's acting this way because of her interpretation of this being racism. That's completely absurd. So it was just kind of like, yeah, kind of put things into perspective. So I interviewed Rose, and we have since become great friends from our my visits to the UK. She has been very kind and sweet, and so if you, I don't know if it's available now, the screen hits, but if it is, it is a wonderful, wonderful app. Um, yeah, so I'm looking forward to actually talking more about what she has because I have so many subscriptions now. I can't keep them straight. Half the time, I don't even know what shows platforms are streaming on because there's so many out there. But with this app, you can just type in the show you're looking for and it pops up what streaming service, and you can log right into the streaming service from her app. So it's a really great concept, really great. So um, yeah, that is what I wanted to talk about around that. And so we'll get into what we're
I'm
talking
obligated
about.
to get into this story.
I'm going to talk about Charlie Kirk here in a second because we all have heard about what has happened. But he did make some comments about Meghan, and I'm going to talk about that. But also want to talk about, um, as today is being a 9/11 as well, and just talk about what I was doing when 9/11 hit. I was actually living in Germany at the time. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about what happened with Charlie Kirk, which is just horrible, and his comments on Meghan Markle, and then we're going to talk about Harry's meeting with the king and what that looks like moving forward. Because I'm going to tell you right now, as I sit here and speak these words, there is an agenda. There is an agenda going on with Harry. And I'm going to talk about his meeting with the king. Okay. So let's get into what we're doing and talking about today. And first, I want to thank Lizzie B for being here. I appreciate your help on just monitoring the chat and everything. And yeah, someone said no 9/11. It'll be really quick. It won't be long. Okay, good. I'm glad you can hear me. Okay, wonderful. So basically, because this is something that was major that happened in America, and only because I'm back in America after something like that happened. It's a really quick story about what happened on that day for me. I was living in Germany at the time, folding clothes, doing laundry. It came on the news there. And my first impression was that it was not that big a deal. I thought, what's happening? Why are they breaking into the news? Because there's a fire at the World Trade Center. I thought it was a fire. And I thought that's really odd that we're hearing about a fire in Germany, at the World Trade Center. But then as the news kept going, because that was just like the visual, then as I started to hear what they were saying, they said a plane went into the building. And I was like, oh, okay, now I see why this is on the news in America, because they said it was a commercial plane. First, it was a small plane, and then it was a big plane, and then it escalated from there. But my point is that I had just moved to Germany in 2001, and it was a few months before, and I had this weird premonition about something going to happen. Something big was going to happen. And it was very similar to when I was living in the UK with Princess Diana. I had this weird premonition about something happening because it was just so much happening with Diana and the photos and Dodie, and she was, it'd been like a year since she had divorced, and there was like all this hoopla going on, and the same thing happened with 9/11 when I had moved to the UK, and now I feel like something similar. I don't know what, but I just feel like there's like this big movement around the news around Harry and Meghan. Like that's just a lot is happening with this. And as we sit and watch what is happening with their lives, it reminds me of a lot of the things that happened in other times when there's been big news stories going on, because it's not like we're watching this couple with random news stories. Like this has been going on for years. Like we've been following this for years. And they continually have issues that are completely irrational choices and decisions that lead to failure. Like everything about what they do leads to failure. And I think the collapse of the marriage is coming. I feel that this couple can't sustain all the negativity that has been going on. Because since Harry has married Meghan, it has been nothing but bad news for him. So when I think about Harry meeting with the king, to me, it leads to perhaps getting help with leaving Meghan. Now, Neil Sean was reporting that this would have been a great moment for Harry and Meghan. She would have been very happy and pleased about this. And I have to think, I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure that this is a great thing for Meghan. I think for Harry it is, but I'm not so sure about Meghan. So it to me, it definitely feels like there's a lot going on. And this was a very big moment for Harry to meet with his father. Although they only met for 55 minutes, it seemed like they would have met longer. But I just feel like, yeah, there's definitely something coming with this couple because of everything that we're seeing. Okay, so before I go into the Harry and Meghan, let's look at this. We'll talk about what happened because you can. This is kind of like the elephant in the room. There has been this horrible, horrible event that happened with this guy, Charlie Kirk. To be honest, I did not know anything about him until I asked my husband, and he told me, and then and when I saw who it was, I thought, oh yeah, I kind of know who he is because I've seen him around. Like I've seen, like his face was familiar to me. But what happened to him was horrific, horrific. And I saw the uncensored thing that happened to him. And I can just only imagine the people that saw what happened have been like the people that were live there and when it happened, how traumatizing that would have been for them. And I just cannot stop thinking about what happened. And from researching who he was for today's live, I mean, I felt like this guy was doing things, expressing just his opinion, and it didn't feel like he was doing it in a way that was malicious or mean. He seemed to be doing something pretty constructive in terms of how he went about it, having open debate with people on either side and just talking about your views. And I think people misconstrue that for hate. I don't understand it. It's just like when I talk critically about Meghan, I'm not spewing hate about her. It's simply criticizing her behavior. And I can't understand how people don't understand or can make a difference between the two. It just is one of those things that has really been very eye-opening for me to see how people see things and how you really need to be very clear when you speak about things because it can be misconstrued, and that's just, I guess, what happens when people sometimes hear maybe what they want to hear. I mean, I don't know. It just seems like that. But also what made me additionally so much more wanting to criticize Meghan's behavior is because I had been doing the work of my charity since 2014 for the exact same thing that I speak about with Meghan, how this American woman could go to a foreign country and misbehave on a world stage was just perplexing to me, because that's exactly what my charity, my work for the young people was set up to do, to help educate young people to have global experiences and to know how to behave and act in foreign countries. Like literally that's what I had been doing as the founding of my charity since 2014. And then here comes this woman, Meghan, marrying into the royal family, going completely against all the things that I felt so strongly about in terms of educating young people to have these global experiences and understanding the world stage and visiting foreign countries, and knowing how to conduct yourself when you have these experiences. And here she comes giving a blueprint for the things that you want people not to do, especially someone who's married into a famous family. So it just all came together beautifully. And that's how it all came together. But so with that, there has also, so talking about what happened to Charlie Kirk and Meghan, and what I'm doing with my channel and how I started doing the work around my channel. He actually spoke out about Meghan and during the Oprah interview. Okay. And that's what I want us to listen to. Okay. That's what I want us to listen to. So we're going to take a listen to what he said. Let's listen.
Which is the story of Meghan Markle and Prince Harry. So I want to read this tweet here from Ben Means, an expert on the British monarchy. A lot of respect for the tradition and all of that. A lot of great friends in London and Great Britain. It's just not a primary concern of mine. And so I want to read from Ben Goldsmith's tweet, which I thought was terrific. The narrative being promoted by Meghan, friends of Meghan, and the leftist mainstream media and everyone else who hates the royal family and British traditions generally is that the royal couple were driven out of Britain because of snobbery and racism. This just isn't true. The British tabloid press and the British publicly initially adored the idea that a glamorous star from Suits was marrying into the royal family and got terribly excited by the novelty of their royal wedding in the chapel of Windsor Castle. They only started going off Meghan when they realized she was a pushy, ungrateful, entitled, gag-inducingly politically correct Hollywood gold digger who just gone and hitched herself up to Britain's favorite cheeky chappy warrior prince and turned him into an emasculated, humorless husk of his former self. It's actually from James Dellingpole, who I believe writes for Breitbart, amongst other places, and he interviewed me when we were in London for our campus tour. Very good guy. And so there's a lot of people that are kind of dissecting the interview yesterday. There's a lot of people that are going through the entire thing. I think just a broader question about this whole saga is, are we really now going to blame racism for the alleged oppressed life of Meghan Markle? Is that going to be the consensus point? Her narrative is now basically, I am going to play a victim while I was literally admitted into the royal family. And based on my memory, and I'm sure we could find endless amounts of media coverage that reinforce this, that was one of the most positive media events of the last couple decades that I can think of. And for her to now accuse the entire royal family of racism with no specifics whatsoever, no names, no times, no events, but it fits the narrative, and she knows now she can go make a bunch of money, which she probably made upwards of $7 million to do that interview, because she now is playing the part of what everyone wants, which is, I've seen the inner workings of a powerful institution, and let me tell you, at the highest levels of ancestral aristocracy, they're racist and we must change everything. That's the narrative. The narrative that she is now playing is confirmation bias of what Oprah herself has been trying to push on the American people. Now, I know far more about Oprah Winfrey than about Meghan Markle.
Okay, I just want to take a quick pause there, because as we see Harry meet with Charles, and I'll kind of loop in the conversation about Harry meeting with Charles as well, because I think this is the point. We can't forget what happened at the very beginning with what Meghan did to the royal family, the institution. We have to go back before she even married into the institution, when she was just dating, when she first met Harry, because the moment of sabotage, the calculation, the motive was all there before she was even married to this man. And the royal family has to be extremely careful, because what they are trying to do, I believe, in this moment, is to help navigate Harry back into some kind of role within the royal family, because they already did it with his visit just now, this fourth day being the last day of his tour, which he's probably already on his way back now. But that is what is so important, because you can't look at the mistakes that were made and they had a slip up. The issue was the premeditation by Meghan in the beginning. What makes you think, if Harry and Meghan are still like this in terms of the marriage, trying to reconcile, there is a premeditation to that reconciliation, only because we have seen them flop in America. Because there's no way, had they, oh, here he comes. There's no way. Hi, Otis. There's no way, had they been successful in America, that they would have done all the things that they had did when they were in America, around just like the Oprah, the book, the Netflix. You know, had they left in a way that was much more respectful of the royal family, they were, not playing the victim at that time, and went to the States and they were successful, none of this would have happened with their, all the negativity and things that they did. But Meghan had to find a way out, because she could not leave, because the Queen said there's no half in and no half out. So she had to play the victim. She had to do it. It was the only way she could have a reason to actually leave. And there's one more thing that I have. Let me get that. Hold on one second. I'm sorry. Let me get it. It's this right here. This is the original Dutch version that put the names Catherine and William in it as being the royal racist. And you cannot tell me that Meghan and Harry didn't have a hand in making sure the names of the king and Catherine were put in print in black and white to live forever and ever. Now, we do know that the book was taken off the shelves and reprinted, and the names were removed. But I have the original. And you can't forget what happened. You cannot forget. Thank you, Sharon Mickle, for becoming a new member of my channel. Welcome, welcome. So that has to always be on the forefront. Let's continue.
Oprah Winfrey, the fact that Oprah tolerated this whole conversation is so unbelievably disappointing. And I'll get to that. But first, I want to play this tape right here of Meghan Markle saying this, making the claim that there were racist remarks against her child's skin color. But she won't say who said it, because she's doing maybe a Jussie Smollett thing. Play cut 8.
And also concerns and conversations about how dark his skin might be when he's born. That was relayed to me from Harry. Those were conversations that family had with him.
If he were too brown, that would be a problem. Are you saying that?
I wasn't able to follow up with why, but that if that's the assumption you're making, I think that feels like a pretty safe one.
Now that's the thing when, she says, because see, look, Meghan wasn't even there. Okay. And Harry is the weasel that went back and said something to Meghan. Okay. Let's not forget that. See, people will forget. And they've already started to forget because we've seen the people that were out there cheering for Harry, trying to show that he is welcomed in the UK and he is doing great things. And let's give him an applause for being so wonderful. Welcome, Harry. But people forget. And that's what they want you to do because that is the agenda.
Feels like a safe one. Meghan, you are now allowing your feelings, I guess I should say, to dictate an accusation of a family that largely, by all evidence available, embraced you. What an unbelievably ungrateful person you are. No gratitude. Perfect leftist, no gratitude. Now, Piers Morgan, who's all over the place. Piers Morgan is like Lindsey Graham. Some days Piers Morgan is excellent. Other days he's just completely off the reservation. So let's go to cut 9 of Piers Morgan reacting to this clip, which I think is Piers Morgan at his best. Play cut 9.
Okay, well, who said that? Let's have a name. Rather than allowing everyone to think that it could be anyone in the palace, it could be the Queen, Prince Philip, it could be Charles, it could be Camilla, it could be any of them. Let's have a name. If somebody did say this in a racist, derogatory way, then that would clearly be completely unacceptable and outrageous. But I wonder, who is that person? What was that conversation? What was the context they said it in? Because until we know the answers to all these questions, we have the whole family being labeled as basically racist.
Yeah. I don't think anyone said it. I think she's making it up like Jussie Smollett. I think somebody said something completely different in a different category, and she's using it now to go make people feel sorry for her. Now, what bothers me the most about all this is actually not Meghan Markle and Prince Harry. We know Prince Harry is a metrosexual beta male and really is lacking in almost all testosterone. And we know that Meghan Markle is a tradition-destroying leftist who's self-indulgent. We know that. That's not exactly breaking news. What bothers me the most is the third person in this interview. That's what bothers me. What bothers me is Oprah. Oprah has lived the American dream. Oprah started from nothing, less than nothing. Oprah has gone through some legitimate trials in her life. She worked harder than any other television host throughout the 90s and early 2000s. Oprah had some of the most consequential interviews of the last 25 years. Oprah is a billionaire black woman. Oprah was always about self-improvement, independence, empowerment, rising above your circumstances, being a victor, not a victim. Oprah had an entire following of mostly suburban women believing in themselves, believing in the idea of applied action. And yes, black American women followed her in huge numbers. She was leading a charge of trying to say that there might be troubles around you, work harder, play by the rules. She had Harpo Productions. Oprah has a place in Hawaii. Oprah has a place in Santa Barbara. Oprah has a place everywhere. She is the richest black woman in the world. And yet I have to go watch Oprah Winfrey even tolerate, even entertain this idea that racism exists as a barrier to human success.
See, that's the point. And had you watched my channel, Meghan, you would have been informed of these things, because it has to be the narrative of minority Black women, especially, to call out Meghan's behavior of saying and calling racism, because you were welcomed into this family. What are you complaining about? Why are you not trying to overcome whatever issues you say you are having? Because, see, that is what you do when you are somebody who is facing conflict. You don't become the victim. You pound the pavement and you work hard to overcome. Not, oh, well, what happened to you, girl? They were racist to you? Really? Because that's what Oprah did. She did not show the perseverance and overcoming the adversity that happened. She played into Meghan's victimhood, because, yeah, there was money to be made. And there wasn't going to be money made by trying to talk Meghan out of her nonsense of racism. Oprah could make some more money by helping Meghan with her victim narrative, and to, yeah, capitalize onto that to make even more money, and to highlight Meghan's victimhood because of that reaction we saw her. What? Who's having that conversation? Right? We remember. We remember. So she wasn't trying to show Meghan, come on, girl. Come. She should have been like, sister to sister, girl. Okay. Like, we're going to act like you a sister girl now. Okay, Meghan. That's not racism. What's the real deal? You want to leave? You want to come back to America? Is that what it is, Miss Meghan Markle? Is that what you want to do, girl? Okay. Like, she should have been having that real talk with Meghan, but she didn't, because she wanted to make money. It becomes about the money, and it's this highlighting these ills and perpetuating these false narratives and really getting people, because now you see it all the time. You watch these shows with young Black girls or Black women in general, or, they'll, by the cops getting arrested, the cops ask them to get out of the car, and because they don't want to get out of the car, this is racist. Are you like, now it's the excuse for everybody who doesn't abide by the laws, that clearly are just not doing what they're supposed to do and being called out for it, want to cry victimhood and want to cry racism. Okay. And that is, I think, what Oprah essentially did, is she gave the narrative, or she gave people the excuse to be able to say these little petty things can be all about race, rather than saying, come on now, I know racism, and that's not racism. What's going on right here? First of all, if it were racism, your Black honey would never have been married into the royal family. Okay? They would have kicked that to the curb a long time ago, sister girl. Like, she should have been having that kind of talk with Miss Meghan Markle. But it was all about making the money. Wasn't it, Miss Oprah?
Only in America is it possible for Oprah Winfrey to succeed. Only in America. And yet Oprah Winfrey creates this forum of oppression Olympics. She creates this framework of where we're now going to allow you to go complain professionally. Where the real Oprah Winfrey, the Oprah Winfrey that I know is still out there somewhere and has been suppressed into this angry and bitter person, the real Oprah Winfrey, the 1995 Oprah Winfrey that used to be just phenomenal. The Oprah Winfrey that interviewed Donald Trump. The Oprah Winfrey that gave away cars for fun. The Oprah Winfrey that was always about success. You know how Oprah would have handled that interview in the 1990s? Oprah would have said, okay, Meghan, you're saying this. Are you really trying to say people should feel sorry for you right now with the privilege, with the wealth that you obviously have? Are you trying to say that Black women can't succeed? Obviously, I've succeeded. Instead, she validated the concern. Mm-hmm. Oprah Winfrey said last summer, White people don't understand that whiteness itself gets you through life in ways that blackness cannot. Oprah Winfrey, more so than the metrosexual beta male Prince Harry or the leftist Meghan Markle. Forget about those people. Oprah should be the focus of this entire thing. Oprah has lived the story of what it means to be an American entrepreneur, to have grit, to have hustle, to earn your success. And Oprah's entire platform now is dedicated around the validation of victimhood. She didn't even press the issue. She should have been obligated to challenge such a controversial claim. The old Oprah would have done that. Yet Oprah has been bitter, angry, and dare I say, destructive force in the American media landscape. And as someone who was born and raised in Chicago, she had all of her empire in Chicago. And I was...
Okay, before I finish that out, I just want to say what happened here with what old Oprah would have done. She would have allowed Thomas Markle Sr. then to have his side of the story told. Because we remember Thomas Markle gave Oprah's people, or attempted to, by going to her home, her studio, wherever, to give a letter to ask to give his side of the story. But she did not even allow that. She completely ignored Thomas Markle Sr. when he wanted to have his voice heard, because Meghan was allowed to say what she said about her father, but he could not even give his own rebuttal. There was no balance. It was completely one-sided. Meghan is the victim. Harry is also part of this because it's his family. He's shocked by what's happened. They can tell their story, but yeah, Thomas Markle Sr. and the royal family, for that matter, yeah, forget you. We're just going to hear what they have to say. And so we can't forget that he never got a chance to say his opinion about Meghan's accusations and the things that she said about him.
Raised with the story of Oprah Winfrey rising above her circumstances and being a victor. Oprah Winfrey has too much power, too much wealth, and too much influence to be so reckless and irresponsible.
So yeah, so that's what I wanted to say about, I thought that was really interesting what Charlie Kirk said, and on point about Oprah and Meghan in general, by, just not being grateful for the opportunity. And so as we see Harry and his attempts to go meet with the king and, what happened there, I'll get into that right now. But first I want to thank also Lizzie B for your super chat. You're saying, if that's the assumption, okay, yes, you are making, quickly gaslighting and shifting blame. Exactly. That's what Meghan did, Lizzie B. And thank you very much for your super chat. That's exactly right. She couldn't even really give concrete information. It was just thrown out there very frivolously to say, if that's what you're saying, if that's your assumption, and that's just not right. So we can't forget what happened. We cannot forget as Harry goes to make this reconciliation with his father. And thank you, Deidre Sorrell, for your membership. You've been gifted. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So that's on point what Charlie Kirk had to say. And I'm just, just really torn by what has happened to this very young man who really gave very good speaking points around a lot of important issues. And I just wanted to recognize what happened with him yesterday, and to, say that it's just really terrible what happened to him. I didn't even know who he was until researching today or yesterday, and then finding this clip with what he said about Meghan, and just wanted to kind of bring that to everybody's attention. So, Now to what's happened with Harry and the king and what is going to happen now, what I believe they're doing. Um, Now, Meghan they're saying, at least Neil Sean is saying, that this is good for Meghan, that Harry has been able to now go and meet with the king. This is good to get the attention, off of her failing brand, and we can now highlight this reconciliation or potential reconciliation. We know Harry met with his father for 55 minutes at Clarence's house, and they had tea, and apparently Camilla was there. And I heard reports, which I thought was really weird, that William didn't know about it until like right before Harry came, which I'm thinking that's not true, because the reports before were that William did not want to join the king. There was actually two stories that came out about William saying that he didn't know. The first one said that he did not know that the representatives of King Charles and Prince Harry were even meeting. Remember when they met? And the reports are saying that he was blindsided by that. And then there were now reports that are saying that William was blindsided by Harry and the king actually meeting. Whatever. They're trying to spin a narrative here, because we know William knew. If this is news that they're going to potentially meet, trust me, William knows about that. So what they're trying to do is, I think, trying to bring Harry back into the fold, bring him back into the monarchy, and trying to now make William and Catherine the bad guys, just to have conflict, to create stories of contention and strife, so that there's more things of interest to talk about. I don't know. I don't get it, but I'm sorry. I'm not, that's not going to happen as far as I'm concerned, because William and Catherine are doing what they should be doing, and they should not be made the victims of anything unless they've done something wrong, and they haven't. They've just been doing what they do. So that is ridiculous. So Harry has met with the king, but what I find interesting is this story about William and his plans, because it would make sense that William would want to remove the titles from Meghan. But even then, I think there may be people in his ear trying to make sure that that doesn't happen. Like, they're seriously trying to make Harry the good guy again. And I think also later try to make Catherine be the one to bring William and Harry together, so that they're now on good terms again with the Waleses. That's the narrative I see them trying to spin, and trying to give Harry some kind of out where he can be half in and half out if he's still with Meghan. If the conversation is Meghan and these children, I know there's controversy around the children, okay, but for the sake of what we're doing now, just assuming this is all what's going on, trying to bring them back in where they visit, maybe during the summers and during the winter holidays, like kind of bringing them in a little bit. If this is going to be the couple that is going to stay together, okay? But if they are not going to stay together, which is what I believe is possibly the case, where Harry is trying to get some kind of support around a separation from Meghan, because I don't see how in the world Harry is going to be able to reconcile with his family and ever come and bring Meghan and these children, even for a visit to the UK. I just don't see that happening, because Meghan is not the kind of person to kind of like, let me just be strong and go back to the UK and take the abuse, because we know that is not going to be a warm welcome for her to come back to the UK. Harry, I can see people letting bygones be bygones and just allowing him to come back and get support like they did do, because he is of royalty. He is a real royal. That's his country. But Meghan, as an outsider and what she has done, I don't think so. I cannot see Meghan ever coming back to the UK. But they are saying that William does plan to strip her once he becomes king. So I think these are one or two things that are going to happen. Either they're going to stay together and they're going to try to bring Harry and Meghan back in with their half in, half out, or this is Harry's way of starting the preparations for a separation with Meghan so that he can come back. And then the fight and the war of the Sussexes is going to begin. That's what I believe is getting ready to happen, because I just don't see it at all. I don't see it. Okay, so a couple more super chats. Oh, my lovely Paula. Thank you, Paula, for your super chat. Meghan and Harry are horrible. And also, everyone, if you've seen Paula's video that she did a really good video on Meghan's job that she claims she worked at Humphrey Bogart. Go check it out, because I've been doing some research around it as well. You know, there's just a lot of things that Meghan has done that she's lied about. You know, she's lied about her growing up and not having money growing up. When that is, I remember when I even interviewed Thomas Markle, Meghan did not have to work. She talks about having this part-time job. And, you know, she says a lot of things that just don't sound true, which gives a lot of kind of evidence of character to know what she says around these racist claims are not true. But Paula did a really good video about, and has receipts about Meghan not actually working there. So if you have a chance to watch it, I highly recommend you watch that video, because she does bring the receipts around Meghan not working at this yogurt place, because yeah, she is just shown herself to be a liar. And there's so much proof out there about what she has done. So thank you again, Miss Paula M. And thank you very much, Gardner Chamberlain, for your super sticker. I really appreciate it. Whoop, whoop. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, so that is what I wanted to talk about today, everybody. I think we're in a very pivotal moment right now with the relationship of Harry and Meghan. I cannot see this being a relationship that is going to last, because Harry, I think, is getting advice from his family about coming together and getting some support about how he can perhaps go his separate way from Meghan. Because we know if Harry does end up staying with Meghan, he will continue to lose. He's already lost so much. He has lost everything that has given him his worth. And do you think he's okay with that? Do you think he's okay with, I mean, like, nothing good has gone his way, nothing. And I think the moment he decides to separate from this toxic person, which is Meghan Markle, the sooner he can begin rebuilding his life as a prince. I'm going to be doing an interview, or I actually have already done the interview, with a very famous woman from the civil rights movement. And I'll bring up a photo of her, because I want you all to be prepared to see this when I air this this video. And I'll share it with you right now. And she is my dear friend, and she and I spoke when I was in Germany about it, and she has said the same thing. You know, Harry is a prince, okay? And my conversations with my dear friend Wandalyn has been that what Meghan has done by taking Harry out of his country as a prince is wrong, because as a prince, he should not be living in California. Meghan should have taken her hiney to the UK to live, to be with her husband, because he is the royal, she is not. So the mere fact that Harry has been brought to America by this American woman, there's something very wrong with that. And so my friend Wandalyn and I were speaking about it. Wandalyn is the daughter of Ralph David Abernathy, who was the best friend of Martin Luther King. And she grew up in the civil rights movement. Her best friend was Yolanda King, who I met when I lived in Germany. Yolanda has since passed on, but she was a child of the movement. And she's got a wealth of information. She's an opera singer. She's been living in Germany for over 30 years. We're very good friends. Our children, our sons are of the same age. And, you know, I did an interview with her that I'm going to air on my channel. She's going to talk all about her point of view around Meghan Markle and what she has done to Harry and how wrong it is from a very outside perspective, because she doesn't follow this, but she can see from the optics that this woman having her royal husband come live in America just to hang out while she tries to sell jam. Really? There's something very wrong with that. There's something very wrong with a prince being the sidekick of a girl trying to sell jam and sell wine. Like, that's just wrong. Your prince butt needs to be over in the United Kingdom, where princes live, where there is a monarchy. You have no business surfing and trying to perpetrate some Yankee American life in California. There's just something wrong with this. Okay? So we had a great conversation. So I'm still editing that video, but I'll be done soon with it. And then I'll be airing the video and we can all take a look and kind of get her support. And because she's doing some great things. She's a very wonderful, smart lady. Okay, so that's all I have for this video, for this live anyway. So thank you all so much for being here and supporting my channel. I really appreciate it. If you want to donate to my charity, Lizzie B will put the link up, or if you want to become a member or you want to follow me on Facebook, I do videos with my little Otis. And my YouTube videos are on there as well. And you can follow my Instagram because I do like little shorts from my time in abroad, whatever, like just like fun stuff. So, but thank you so much for all of your support and your super chats and super stickers, and for your memberships to my channel, and for everything. I love being able to come from a perspective of learning and not hate, but learning and observing, you know, how to be better and to just look at how all these things are going. I have some surprises coming from my members that I'm working on, so that will be revealed soon. And yeah, so thank you guys so much for being here. Special thank you to my lovely Paula M for being here during this live. And I will see you guys next week. I should be back at 5 p.m. Today was my last day subbing for my teacher, so I'll be back at 5 p.m. next week. Okay, have a wonderful Thursday. See you next time. Bye.